I was, I guess you could say I was like most people when I heard about the murder of Rob Reiner. Um, and I was a fan of, The Princess Bride. I think that's really the only film I ever, maybe Canadian Bacon. I think I watched that. Never watched Spinal Tap. But, yeah, I was, pretty shocked by it. However, this is my view on it, and this could be a little cold, but with good reason, because it's our moral structure I'm bringing into question here, okay? And it's so condescending. That's really what I mean to say, is that, like, oh, because it was a famous film director, we have to care more than we would about the people who are being killed on a day-to-day basis. People who are being killed by their spouses on a day-to-day basis. Families that are committing murder-suicides on a day-to-day basis. These things happen every single fucking day. But because it's one film director who made a movie you like, now we have to do some sort of charitable, sentimental, sort of valedictory sentiment towards this person, in exchange for likes on Twitter and to be considered a good person. It's so condescending when you really think about the real tragedy is that this is happening every day. It's because there is a sickness. It is a sickness. People have a sickness. One isolated case of this sickness does not make it more prominent than all the other ones just because the person was famous. And so let's take a step back and examine what our gracious fucking president said. Okay, now listen, like, this is something I don't know the circumstances of this. What I do know is that the Reiners were at Conan O'Brien's party or something about a year ago. This is the story, and Michelle, the son, he's had like a on and off relationship with drugs and bouts of homelessness and all sorts of other things. So the guy had problems, clearly. They got into a huge argument at Conan O'Brien's party. Like, it erupted by the sounds of it, and it captivated everybody there. Like, whoa. So it's just like, hey, warning signs. But, of course, the moment it all cools down, everyone goes back to normal and acting like nothing ever fucking happened. And this is part of the procedural error with these dysfunctional families, because that's the root of the problem. It's the dysfunction of American families, and it's not just because they're rich and famous. That can certainly add to it, but it's just in general these dysfunctional families, and I think it's bad parenting for starters. I think that's the first thing it is. In 9 out of 10 cases, it's bad parenting. I think that's the explanation to a majority of the problems that our country is facing at the moment is bad parenting. You have so many single mothers out there, and I'm not saying single mothers are a bad thing. I was raised by a single mother, and it certainly wasn't a good thing. And I wasn't even really raised. It was part of my life was spent with that single mother, and then I got shipped off to other family members. So it's what I'm saying is this is not something to take lightly, and people always do. What I'm saying is the absence of a father, whether he's married in the family or not, is always going to have a heavy impact on the child. And one of the greatest examples I can point to is Jeffrey Dahmer. That is a family that by all means was a structural family that stayed together. But the dad was so focused on getting his chemistry degree, so he really separated himself from the family, and he admits this in his book. And if you know anything about Lionel Dahmer, he's not the greatest person. He sort of, you know, in more than one way, he sort of banked off the stardom of his fucking serial killing child, if you want my honest opinion. But he was an absent father, and Jeffrey Dahmer had a mother who was on all sorts of benzos. She was an alcoholic. She was unstable as hell, and his dad was nowhere in sight. And Jeffrey himself admitted that this was largely the root of his fucking problem. And Lionel also admitted to this in his book in multiple interviews. Yeah, I could have been there. So it's kind of in my mind that this is probably a similar issue. Your dad can be rich as fuck. He can be a famous film director. It doesn't matter who the fuck he is. But if he's an absent father, whether you love him or hate him, and I imagine that's probably what Rob Reiner was an absent father. And again, I'm going to create a lot of fucking contention by saying this. It's like, how could you say this? And it's just like, brother, I can say this because people are dying at every second, every nanosecond, somewhere on Earth, you know, in the most horrific ways possible. What is one fucking person who happened to be a film director? What difference does that make when someone's dying right now? Someone just died right now. Someone just died again. Guess what? Someone died again and again and again. How many of those people who just died right now were killed by family members or died a horrific death? Okay, we're going up. The numbers keep climbing. I'm sure there's about 5 or 10 somewhere in that margin, probably more, dying these horrible deaths, being killed by family members, killing themselves, crashing cars and burning alive. I don't know, maybe they're getting eaten alive by tigers right now. You don't fucking know. And that's what I'm saying is we don't need to sit there and focus on one fucking person because he made a movie or two that we like. Okay, and that's what's so condescending about it. Is that people are dying all the fucking time from these, what does they call it, patricide, when you kill your parents? Yes, patricide happens all the fucking time. This is where it's just like you need to stop looking at this single fucking film director and look at the problem at the very crux of everything. It's these dysfunctional families. I'm not saying the absent father. I'm not blaming Rob Reiner. I'm saying this should open people's eyes more than what fucking Trump said. You gotta focus on the real problem in this country, and it's mostly absent fathers. And myself included, grew up with a father that was not there because he was not alive. So I'm just putting this into the matrix here, because people, they want to focus on getting their likes and getting their retweets or airing out their marketable aggression, and that's what it is. Even if you come on here and you start challenging me and criticizing me for what I said, you're just marketing it. You're marketing this shit. Okay? There's an algorithm to this, and it's marketable. They just market your aggression. They market all of your fucking emotions. It doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. It just means either I get more views or the person who's next to me who agrees with you gets more views. It's all about just getting people to look at you. That's all it's about. So it's nothing more than that. So what he said, what our great wonderful president said, listen, man. As I said before, this is an ugly game. You know, this is an ugly game that he's in, and to play that ugly game, you have to be an ugly person. You know, there's no nice guys in the game that he's playing. There's no nice guys in politics. We like to sit there and believe that there is. You know what happens to nice guys in politics? I don't know. They drive down a limousine in broad daylight and they get their head blown off. And, you know, others like Jesus Christ get pinned to a cross, whipped and beaten to death. This is what happens to people when they play the nice guy game. That's what happens to them. And you're trying to tell me that being these martyrs is a winning game. It has never won a single person. It has created a memory of these people. And the memories of these people have not changed how human behavior conducts itself. Like, has it? If Jesus dying on the cross, if the memory of Jesus dying on the cross is so strong and so powerful, how come the world is more disgusting today than it ever has been? The answer is the memory does not. The memory is just there to instill faith in a higher power. It's not to actually fix these things. Because he couldn't fix these things. He could not fix these things. He died bleeding for people because he could not fix them. That's what the story is trying to tell you, is that you can't fix these people. You have to have faith in something. And you can't put your faith into what a president says. You can't put your faith to what your favorite fucking influencer says. You're being moronic. Listen, I don't mean to insult people, but I can't stress it any more than that, because I believe it's not that people are stupid, okay? It's very much a cultural thing. It's very much what you see other people do. You see them doing it, you see them tweeting it, you see them posting it, and you think it's great. You think it's amazing, and you all think you need to step in line and say and do the same fucking things. You don't have to. You don't have to do that. And it doesn't matter what our fucking president says, okay? It really, that's his fucking opinion. You know, and I'm not gonna bring up the Charlie Kirk thing, but it's just like, there was nothing pleasant about that, was there? Not one pleasant fucking thing said by anybody. Maybe his wife. But that's it.